Yeah.
I guess the next time we should schedule a meeting with actually a internet login through the internet, huh?
Maybe.
So you can do both.
It's interesting how everyone these days is becoming more comfortable with video conferencing and how disconcerting it is to have just a regular conference call.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep, between WebEx, Zoom, Teams, and Skype. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm about as sick of Zoom as I can be right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think getting Zoom bombed by somebody would be the most interesting thing about Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, this is Michael.
Oh, you made it! Yay!
Oh.
Yeah, I've had some fits and starts trying to get things started on this end. But we have a slot until 5:30, so let's try and make some progress if we can.
I think you mean till 6:30, right?
I mean, it's 6:30, correct. Thank you, John. Okay, I'll just go through and see who's on the line. It's probably easier if I just go through the list of names and you can tell me if you're on or not. Again, thanks for hanging in. I've got to do a web-based thing on this end to get the call started. Okay, Karen?
I'm here.
Okay. Tammy? Okay. John Coughlin, I thought I heard you.
Yes.
Good. Tom?
I'm present.
Thank you, Tom. Harold sent regrets, but I'll just check and see if he changed his mind or was able to join. Harold? Nope. Okay. John Zaccaro?
Here.
Hi, John. Peter
Hi.
Cable?
I'm mostly here.
And Jen?
Present.
Great. Okay, is there anybody else called in?
Yeah, this is Brendan Crowley. I'm a reporter with the CT Examiner.
Thank you, Brendan. Anyone else? Okay. We'll try and make a start and make a little progress today. First of all, welcome back to everyone. I hope you're all doing well in these crazy times. Just a quick note on Teleconference Protocol. If everyone who's not speaking could mute their phone, it'll greatly reduce the backup noise, the background noise. And another protocol note, as we go through the agenda and we have anything to discuss, it'll be most effective if I'll pause regularly and I will actually call names and give everyone a chance to speak rather than trying to vie for floor time as we would do in a face-to-face meeting. So I will pause frequently to check in with everyone to see if they have anything to add or any questions. Okay, another logistical note, we are meeting by teleconference today. This meeting is being recorded and the audio recording will be posted on the Town of Old-Lyme YouTube page. This actually solves one of the open items we had from our organizational meeting where we said it would be good if we could record meetings and post them. And in this case, it's actually going to be done for us. So that's all set. We will still need, however, to produce written minutes. So Karen, if I could ask you to grab some notes as I will do, and we can work together since Tammy's not on the line. Put some minutes together afterwards.
That's fine.
Great. Thank you, Karen. Okay. A quick note on the agenda today. It's the aim is to restart the work that was interrupted just as we were getting going by the pandemic, and hopefully think through how we can perhaps have a few meetings this summer that'll adapt to the likely reality that we're going to be subject to continuing restraints on face-to-face meetings for at least some time to come. And if nothing else, this meeting, it's already given me a bit of a lesson on the technology, and maybe we can get a bit more comfortable with the WebEx technology and become more productive with it. It actually could turn out to be convenient. So I'll do one of those stops and just ask if there's any comments or questions at this point. And I'll start with Karen.
I don't have any comments yet.
Thanks. John C.
No, I'm good so far.
Thanks, John. Tom?
All set.
Thanks, Tom. John Z.
Yeah, two quick things. One is I could be misremembering, but I thought that we were going to include in our future agendas a public comment section or time. I don't know that this meeting calls for it because it's sort of a reorganizational meeting, but I'd just like to make note of that. And then the other thing is there any possibility of, as much as this is a good platform, is there any possibility of using a video conferencing platform? And I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe that's new business or whatever. That's it. That's all I have.
Great, John. I'll respond to both of those. So the first is you've actually preempted the next note I had as we went into the agenda, which is that we did indeed say we were going to include public comment. I don't have it on today's agenda, but the intent as we get into more deliberation is to include it. And I need to work with the Selectman's office to figure out on the technology to actually get that right. Because I understand that was attempted with some fits and starts, and I want to make sure we get it right. But I'm right with you and acknowledge that we had said we were going to do that, and we will do that at future meetings. The other thing is on the video conferencing. I did give that a test with the Selectman's office and had some trouble with the technology. I do see that other commissions and boards have been able to use it successfully. So I just have a little bit more work to do with the Selectman's office to work the kinks out of that technology. But I think that would be just fine to do in the future for those that wanted to take advantage of it. And I'll keep working on it.
Thank you.
Okay. Peter?
Yes, I just want to comment that Town Hall is opening up on the 22nd. And so it's conceivable that we could have an in-person meeting if we were able to get one of the good-sized conference rooms and spread ourselves apart.
Thanks, Peter. That's consistent with my understanding, too. I don't know what the competition is going to be for the bigger rooms, but it's definitely something I intend to look into.
Good.
Okay. And Jen, anything at this point?
No, I don't, Michael. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, so with that, let's move into the agenda. Again, my first note was that about the public comment, but I do intend to include that after this reorganizational meeting, and then we'll get the technology on board as much as we can as we go along for that, and the video conferences as John suggested. Is approval of some minutes back from February that we haven't been able to get to. The first set of minutes is from the February 10th inaugural meeting, and these minutes have been posted, and we actually reviewed and discussed them and made amendments to them that are captured in the minutes of the February 24th meeting, which we will discuss shortly. So at this point, with the amendments already captured in the February 24th minutes, all we need to do is approve the February 10th minutes. So with that in mind, I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes from the February 10th inaugural meeting.
Motion to approve as amended. It's Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Second.
And that was?
Karen.
Thanks, Karen. I thought so, but I want to confirm. I'll do a roll call on this. Karen?
Do I approve? Yes.
Okay. Tammy's not here. John Coughlin?
Yes, I approve.
Thank you. John Zaccaro?
Aye.
Thank you. Tom Ortoliva?
Approve.
Thank you. And I will vote in the affirmative as well. And that's unanimous. Okay. Just taking a note here and moving along. February 24th organizational meeting. Those have been posted. I'll note that the process here, and we actually picked this up at the FOI training session we went to, because we're on a monthly cadence for meetings and minutes have to be posted within 2 weeks of the meeting. We are typically not going to be able to review and approve minutes at a regular meeting in time to make that 2-week posting. So the practice that was described there, it seems like a pretty good one, which is to post unapproved minutes and then at the next regular meeting, review those unapproved minutes and capture any amendments in that meeting's agenda. So you actually have a rolling approval process. So with that in mind, I'll be looking today for any amendments to the February 24th organizational meeting minutes. And then we can approve them as amended and captured in the next set of minutes, which we'll approve downstream. So again, I'll, in the interest of managing the teleconference, I'll kind of go through a roll call here and ask for any updates to the February 24th organizational meeting minutes. And I'll start with Karen.
I don't identify any changes.
Thanks, Karen. John Coughlin.
I also don't identify any changes.
Thank you, John. Tom.
No amendments.
Thank you, Tom. John Zaccaro.
They look good to me.
Thank you. Peter.
Shouldn't need me, but I approve.
Very good. It's not for approval. It's for you were there, Peter. So this isn't for approval yet. This is just for any amendments to capture.
Oh, no, none.
Very good. And Jen, I don't believe you were in attendance at that meeting. So, okay. Hearing no amendments, I'll look for a motion to approve those minutes then.
It's Karen. I approve.
I second.
So is that a motion? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Who is the second?
John Coughlin.
John Coughlin.
Okay. One more roll call, then we can maybe get into a little more discussion. Okay, Karen?
I approve.
John Coughlin?
I approve.
Okay, Tom?
approve.
John Zaparo?
Approve.
Thank you, as do I. So again, the minutes of February 24th are approved. Okay, thank you, everyone. That's the end of the bookkeeping we have, the housekeeping. The next item on the agenda is just to recap where we left off in February. So I'll run through my notes on this, and then I'll pause and go around for anyone to add or question or update. So by way of recap, at our last meeting in March, after we elected officers, we organized ourselves into 3 parallel work streams to perform what we saw as a first round of information gathering as was set out in our charge. With the first one focused primarily internally on the town of Oline to better understand the state of the town's housing stock and development capacity. And with Tammy and John Coughlin taking the lead on that. The second work team looking more externally at neighboring towns and other towns across the state to find out more how they're approaching the affordable housing questions and issues, and generating case studies on that, trying to identify best practices, and that's with Karen and Tom taking the lead. And the third work stream, aiming to gain a better understanding of the legal and regulatory considerations around 830G and the impact on Old Lyme, with John Zaccaro and Harold taking the lead on that one. So that was essentially how we organized. And as of the end of March, that's where we left off, actually. We haven't met since that organizational meeting. But as of the end of March, I'm aware that we did have a few items pending for discussion with the committee, which we won't take up directly today, but I just wanted to get those out there so that we can include them on the schedule for future meetings. So I'll go through what I have and then we can add to it. So Jen has sent out an email prior to our February 24th meeting and about some analysis that she had done on the affordable housing summary data that's published by the state. I've also done some analysis on data that's published by the state and actually found a repository where there's some detailed data and downloadable data published by the state. It's only current as, I think, 2016, but I was able to load it into a spreadsheet and gain some insight, peel the onion a little bit on what towns are doing and how they're meeting 830G objectives or not meeting 830G objectives. We also had identified, it's also part of our charge, that there is detailed data for the town of Old Lyme that should be accessible from the state, and actually the town should be receiving that annually for the review. And I did reach out to the Selectman's office to try to track that down. We haven't found it yet. It should be coming in every year. We haven't found it yet, but we do have a contact at the state, and we'll be continuing to try to sort that out. I also know that prior to our last scheduled meeting, after the 24th, but before the March meeting that was ultimately canceled, Harold had prepared some initial analysis of 830G that he's prepared to discuss. And also, Peter had arranged for Amanda Blair, who's the co-chair of the Open Space Commission, to speak about it, about the McCulloch property opportunity. So those were all pending agenda items that we had on the draft agenda for March, but we haven't gotten to yet. And that last item, the outreach to the Open Space Commission and the possibility of having Amanda come in and talk to us about the McCulloch opportunity. You may have seen that the Economic Development Commission has published their work And in their findings and recommendations, there's a fair amount written about housing in town. So two things on that. I'd encourage you to read the reports, which are up on the town website. And also note that this sounds like another opportunity to cross-connect with other boards and commissions in the town of Old Lyme doing work relevant to affordable housing. And we can do that through an invitation to present and discuss their work, which should be fairly amenable to teleconference, even if we can't get the big room, which we'll still try to do. Jen has also noted that she's got a contact at Habitat for Humanity. And I've also learned that there's the Regional Council of Governments, the River COG as it's known, supports local municipalities in their planning, and it looks like they likely have some useful information and resources for us. So I'll take this up again later in the agenda when we're looking at the meetings for this that we're going to hold for the summer. But I can see, looking out, that we can actually seem to fill up our agenda pretty well this summer between the diligence that's already been done by some of us on the committee, and perhaps having something of a webinar series via telecom or face-to-face through the summer. But we'll get to that on the next agenda item. Also, by way of an update, in March, the Selectman's Office passed along to me a notice from the Connecticut Department of Housing about a possible grant opportunity to support affordable housing planning for small towns. Now, on first reading of the grant documentation, it looked like it was pretty broad in scope. But as I did a bit more research into the eligibility requirements, it turned out that this grant is offered to support a very specific planning process under the provisions of Connecticut General Statutes 830J, not G, but 830J, which is not within our committee's current purview. So I initially intended to discuss this with the committee, but at this point, it seems to be moot for us, and the Board of Selectmen is taking this up, and will keep us posted on if there's any opportunities or something we can do to assist it. So I'll put all this in the notes and minutes, but at this point I'll pause and go around the call for any questions or any additions or clarifications. And I'll start again with Karen.
I have nothing to add, actually. I just feel like I have completely lost my mojo when this whole COVID thing came down. So I do need to restart my tasks.
Good. Thanks, Karen. Just a comment, as I was looking through all the resources we have, it seems to me that particularly for the external focus, it seems like we could get a lot done by bringing other people in to talk to us and tell us what they've already done. It may not solve all of the outreach to other towns, but even the Council of Governments may give us some insights there. So I have a feeling we'll be able to jumpstart that work stream by asking people to come in and talk to us. But
I think that's brilliant. I think that's really a good idea, Michael, because then everybody will get the same message.
Right.
And it'll be part of the minutes, and anybody who's following us will be able to see where our thought process came from. I think that's brilliant.
Great. So we'll take that up again as we try to lay out a rough agenda for the summer, Karen. Thank you. Okay, John Coughlin?
I have nothing to add at this time, but I will dig back into this again. I also got off track with the COVID.
Thanks, John. I think everyone did. So none of us is alone in that. Tom?
I don't have any further questions or comments. I mean, I still have my notes that I had done prior to the last meeting that we didn't really review. So I suspect my notes are still very accurate, because I can't imagine anything's really changed that much for each of the towns that I did some research on. So I think we'll be okay.
Good. Tom, if you want to send me those notes, I can compile them, and maybe as we go through telecons, we won't be able to deliberate on them by email, but I can redistribute those so that when we go downstream in our agenda, subsequent meetings, we can just put it on the agenda with a pre-read and have a discussion about it.
Okay. I have them all typed up, so I can send them out pretty quickly.
Fantastic. So hold that thought, and as we schedule the summer's meetings, we'll make sure there's an item there to go through those. Okay. Anything else, Tom?
Nothing else.
Thank you. John Zapparo?
Yes, I have not been in touch with Harold during the interim, but I did read over the document that he emailed to us a while back, and I've been focusing on the concerns in work stream number 3 that we talked about at the last meeting. So I'm preparing an outline of the statutes as they impact the deliberations of planning and zoning, and answering, focusing on answering the questions that Harold raised in his document, and you raised in the outline that we looked at the February 24th meeting. But again, Harold and I have not had a chance to convene and sort of divvy up the work or decide how we're going to approach it. But I think that we're basically looking at the charge of our committee in the bullet points, the bullet point number 4, I think it was, the research to Connecticut State 8-30G, and then the 5 items underneath that. I believe that that's primarily what Harold and I were going to be looking at as a subcommittee, or whatever we're calling the work groups. So that's it.
Good, John. And as I try to find out more about the Council of Governments, I'll look specifically to see if they might have any expertise within their organization or their contacts that might be able to help us with that. If you think that would be useful.
Yeah, I mean, really the interest of the Planning and Zoning Commission is all the focus. It seems to be in the materials that I'm reading. All the focus seems to be on not online. Let me just make that clear. I'm not talking about online specifically. I'm talking about in general. The material that's out there seems to be focusing on how can we deny an application? And what do we need to do to protect our decision? And obviously, that's not our focus. It's hard to find materials that look in the other direction, which is, how do we approve, and how do we, modify plans that are submitted to approve, and what's the planning and zoning's role in that, and how does 8-30G take care of that? So, it's a lot of material to digest, but in the end, the final work product is probably going to be tiny in comparison to the other things that we're doing.
But no less important, John.
That's true.
Okay. Thank you, John. Anything else, John?
No, that's it.
Very good. Thank you. And Peter, anything in general? And I'll ask specifically if you think Amanda might be willing to try to talk to us via this technology if we're not able to get a face-to-face meeting. And even if we can, if some members aren't able to join, we might be able to do it by teleconference.
I think she will. I think she'll be frustrated a bit because she has a lot of show and tell that goes along with what she wants to say. But I think she'd do it, sure. I'll ask her and explain some of the things.
Regarding the show and tell, I am aware that you can do you can present documents and even video, audio, AV materials via WebEx. So actually, is there someone who's not muted out there? I'm getting a lot of background noise, so if you could double check that you're muted, except for Peter. I can double check with Michelle in the Selectman's office, Peter, and see what it would take to allow her to, or someone on her behalf to present the whatever audiovisual materials she might have, or PowerPoint presentation or the like.
Gotcha. Okay, that would be very good, and I'll bring it up with Amanda.
So I will definitely take an action item to try and take this technology with the Board of Selectmen's office to the next level and get video conferencing capability and presentation materials capability.
Michael, do they do it via Zoom, or what's the platform that they use?
It's WebEx, as this is, Karen.
Oh.
I think I think it's because he needs to record it, so we're going to be limited on some of these. Although I guess Zoom can record.
I'll definitely look into it. In my previous life, I did a lot of WebEx, and you could do PowerPoint presentations live in real time. So I'll see if we still have that capability. Okay, Peter, anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. And Jen, again, in general, and two specific questions for you. So one is, it seems like we both dug into the data a little bit. So I'll check with you on if you'd be willing to maybe present your findings for discussion at an upcoming meeting, and maybe share that meeting with me, and we can both take a look at the data. I've seen the work you sent out, and it's interesting. It's very interesting, and some of the work I did is complementary to it. So I'll invite us to do at least a section of a meeting. And also, you had mentioned that you have a contact at Habitat for Humanity, I believe, and I wondered if you and the rest of the group thought it might be interesting to hear from Habitat on some of their work relevant to affordable housing, and then plus anything else you have, Jen.
Oh, thanks, Michael. On both. So on the spreadsheet, sure. I am probably in the way minority here that I have not been affected by the virus quite as much as you guys. My kids are grown and I have them back here at home, but we're not really stricken with anything. So I am happy to research, do rundown. I have time. I'm retired, so I can do put some legs on the ground, if you will. I love to do research. So and I'm a finance background, so I can put numbers together if you want. On the second thing, yes, I am on the board of directors for Habitat for Humanity for Southeastern Connecticut, and just not a presentation about Habitat per se, but a Habitat about affordable housing is certainly doable, or both. But I think it would be more advantageous instead of. Well, no, I won't say that. So Habitat is in the business of single-family housing, which is, probably may or may not be what we're looking for here. But so affordable housing has become in the last year or so a huge issue, a huge movement with HUD and others, as you guys know. And I think that there's a lot of data out there and a lot of needs assessment out there. And that's maybe what Terry, the executive director for Habitat, can just, give you a brief presentation about. However long you want to take up is fine. It's very interesting to learn about. There's also the National Association for Housing and Redevelopment, NARO, they have it's a great website too. If you want to go on it just to look, it's a resource for research, analysis, advocacy, ethics. Really, pretty much everything is on that website that you would want to know about affordable housing. So those two things. So like I said, I don't have anything specifically, but if you would like me to help out in any way, I have the time and ability to do that. So I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Thanks, Jen. Could you say that website again? You dropped just as you were saying it.
Oh, sorry, I muted you. Yep, it's the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials. It's NAHRO, NAHRO. And it may ask you to sign up, but it's, everything's free, so you just sign up and it's free.
Great. Thank you. One of the things I'm doing on the side is just putting together kind of a resource list for us, so I'll add that on. Okay. We have a few minutes left. We actually have about 15 minutes left. So at this point, I'll switch gears to actually, before we go to the forward planning on the agenda. So I'll call that the end of our recap on where we're at and what the substrate is for the next few meetings. And just do a quick question to see, is there any other business or matters arising that anyone would like to raise?
Michael, it's Karen. I was just wanted to talk about the EDC results for just a minute, if we could. I know you mentioned it, and I'm not sure if anyone else has read them, but I do wonder how accurate their findings are post-COVID. And I just really believe that the whole commercial industry is going to change dramatically. I'm not likely to be returning to my office. So I just think some of the things that they brought up, I'm just wondering if anybody else is curious how accurate they're going to be post-COVID.
That's a really interesting question, Karen. And I'm wondering, they were on the list for the future. I had talked to one person from the ECD, not about anything specific about their findings, but just to probe on if they'd like to come talk to us. So I can envision that one of the chairs or one of the members of the ECD, we could invite them in for one of our meetings and just give the whole agenda to, if we do a pre-read on the reports, just to bring them in to present their findings and their recommendations through the lens of affordable housing, and then ask some of those questions you just had and have a discussion about it.
Thank you.
So that's an excellent question, and I'll take that other business. I'll just forward it to the last agenda item, which is and put it on the list of things that we'll tackle over the summer. Okay, I'll do a quick round on the AOB question. Karen, you were there. John Coughlin, any other business or matters you'd like to bring up?
No, I'm great. You're hitting everything I was thinking of.
Thank you, John. Tom?
No, I'm okay. I just want to make sure that we stay on task for our committee. I just don't want to get too far off into the weeds on anything. So as long as we stay that way, I'm fine.
Good, Tom. And I completely agree. A balancing factor that I kind of became more aware of is that there's a lot going on in the town between open space, planning and zoning, ECD, the Planning Commission. We're fortunate to have Harold actually as a member of our committee, but the things that we're deliberating on are going to be touched by a lot of what's going in town. So at the risk, as you cited, and I agree with, of scope creep, it'd be good to, I think, at least to be aware of what's going on out there. Thanks for that. John Zaccaro, any other business? John, you still with us? Zaccaro?
Probably muted.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
Yep.
I was muting after you said to mute, and I forgot. Just following up on what Tom said, I think it's important to remember that we have to produce a report by the end of it that includes, at a minimum, the things that were in our original charge. And I'd like us, in the construction industry, the construction lawyers often ask the question and joke that it's a joke, how does the project get behind schedule? And the answer is one day at a time. If you don't focus on something, you tend to forget about it. And so I would hope that by the end of this, we have some mechanism for preparing the report that we have to submit. That's it. That's all I have.
Good. Exactly. So I completely agree with that, John and Tom. It's a balancing act to make sure we're not reinventing any wheels out there, and to look at what other folks are doing without getting distracted by it, and staying aware of what our focus needs to be. So we will all need to be vigilant about that. Okay. Thank you, John. Peter, anything else you'd like to raise?
I have nothing else to add. I just want to verify that you're planning on having monthly meetings Mondays through the summer. Yeah,
our current schedule has us as the third Monday of the month at 5:30. And if you give me a quick second, I'm pulling up our calendar for July, which would be our next meeting. Oh, come on. Okay, stand by. I almost got it. And we are on for July 20th is the July meeting that's on the calendar. I'm just confirming that, and I'll look at August while I'm in here.
Good. Okay, thank you.
And I'll confirm August while I have this open. And then again, Monday, August 17th at 5:30. So yeah, we're on the calendar. And we'll see whether we need to go by telecon or if we're able to get a bigger room. Or I see that these third Mondays seem to be on the same day as Board of Selectmen meetings, which we'll overlap with. So I don't know if that's going to affect our ability to get a big room, but I'll try nonetheless. Okay. Thank you, Peter. And Jen, anything else you'd like to raise?
Oh, no, thank you, Michael. I'll send you a note offline to talk about the other thing.
Great.
The spreadsheets. Yep.
Okay, how are we doing for time? We've got 8 minutes left. So the last item on the agenda is just to lay out the summer. So it sounds like with Peter, we'll work on getting Amanda Blair in for the open space presentation.
Yes.
Jen and I will occupy some agenda time looking through some of the detailed data and the summary data that the state publishes. We have a possibility for bringing in, I will look further into bringing in the Council of Governments and Habitat for Humanity with Jen. And then we have the Economic Development Commission possibility. So it sounds like, just based on our relatively brief conversation today, we'll be able to pretty much fill up the summer with almost a webinar series that would bring us into the autumn, hopefully with a bit more freedom to meet face-to-face and get more into a synthesis and deliberative phase and after a summer of information collection. So I'm just looking through the notes I've taken and the notes I have. John, you provided your thoughts on the legal and regulatory. So I think I've got enough to at least reach out to you folks with proposed agenda for the summer, depending on how dates work out and availability of some of the people that we'll bring in to talk to us. And maybe Jen and I can kind of fill in if there are any blanks there with perhaps John and Harold as well with some of the work we've done ourselves on internal deliberation and research. So it was a bit rambling, but if I'll go around one more time and ask for how that sounds to you folks, and if there are any other suggestions for the next 2 or 3 meetings. Actually, sounds like 3 or 4 meetings worth of agenda. So I'll start again with Karen.
Yeah, it sounds like we have a good list of things to add to our agendas. I think it's good.
Thanks, Karen. John Coughlin?
I would agree, and also when Tammy's back, we can find out what the change of COVID with real estate and stuff in town. So that'll be another piece to the puzzle.
Very good. Thanks, John. Tom?
I just want to clarify, who were you proposing for the next meeting, July 20th?
I think we'll start with Amanda if she's available, because she was already on deck for March.
She open space?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a great idea to have her on, and then we can determine our direction. Okay, all right, I'm good.
Thanks. And that'll depend on Peter. I'll get with you offline, and maybe you could reach out to Amanda and see if July 20th is a possibility for her.
Beg your pardon, I didn't quite hear what you.
So we're looking at Amanda from the Open Space Commission was sort of at the top of the list for our next agenda.
Yes.
For our July 20th meeting. So we can sort out if she's available, and if not, we'll Jen and I can fill in, or we'll figure something out. But when I propose the summer's the next 3 or 4 meetings agendas, I'll put her at the top of the list.
Okay, good.
Great. And while you have the floor, anything else you'd like to add on the topic of forward agendas? Peter?
What's that?
Anything else you'd like to add from the looking for the agendas going forward? Very good.
No. Thanks.
Thank you. John Zaccaro?
Yeah, it all sounds good to me. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, John. And Jen?
Yep, all set, Mike. Thanks.
Okay. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Okay. Hearing none. Well, we're pretty close to 3 minutes ahead of schedule. Good. Even with the fits and starts getting started, which I appreciate you're all hanging in. I was hoping as I was trying to get the meeting fired up that people weren't hanging up and giving up, but it actually worked out. So thank you for your patience with the technology, and thank you for the work that you're doing. And I'll look forward to hopefully seeing you soon, but if not, at least talking and pursuing our mission through the summer. And I will definitely get with, there's a few action items which I'll put in the minutes. I'm going to work with the Selectman's office, which is Michelle. She's wonderful, to try and get the technology a little smoother and add some capabilities for presentations and for video and the like. And Karen and I will exchange some notes on this meeting and get the minutes published within the next week. And we'll take it from there.
Good. Well-run meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael, for doing this.
Thanks, Michael. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Everybody stay well, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.